아저씨! 아저씨 여기요. 무슨 상자 갖다 놨는데 나보고 이거 열어보라는데 이거 그때처럼 보라색인데.
안 돼! 미도야, 안 돼! 절대 열지 마! 그거 열면 큰일 난다! 손도 대지 마, 알았지?
이거 뭐예요? 아저씨 알죠?
미도야, 조금만 참아. 아저씨가 내가 금방 갈 테니까.
지금 빨리 와주면 안 돼요?
You're listening to The Night Before, a movie podcast. Each episode, we find a unique place in the city and share a drink and our thoughts about the movie we watched the night before. This is Lee, and I am joined, as always, by my husband, Jesse. All right. I feel like I'm a news reporter on the scene at Magnanimous Brewing.
That's where we're at.
During Hurricane
Day before hurricane.
Idalia.
We have a habit of, well, we've done it once before, podcasting amongst the hurricane.
Well, we live in Florida.
We got off work early.
And when a hurricane
1
comes,
p.m.
you drink.
And
That's what you do in Florida.
We're just going around, and we've been meaning to talk about a movie we saw the other night.
Yeah.
Oldboy.
Oldboy.
20th anniversary re-release.
Yes,
Park
we saw it at Tampa
Chan-wook.
Theater, one of our favorite places. And I have to say, this was one of my favorite experiences seeing a movie at.
Because there was like 6 people there.
There's like 6 people there, but our seats were fantastic. It was much more comfortable.
Yeah.
We had a nice Coca-Cola, some
We
popcorn.
poured all the popcorn over the floor.
We smuggled a big thing of Twizzlers in. It was nice.
And dare we say Park Chan-wook could be one of our favorite directors.
He definitely could be. 'Cause
After Decision to Leave. Our best performing podcast episode ever, by the way.
And what's the other movie?
The Handmaiden.
The Handmaiden.
Or Handmaiden,
We
I think
really
it's
like
called.
that.
We
Handmaiden.
podcasted about that. Stoker. We podcasted about that one.
Which
and-
I thought was going to be about Dracula, but it
No.
wasn't.
Which thankfully it wasn't. And then Oldboy I'd seen many years ago, about 10 years ago.
I had not seen it, though.
I've also seen the Spike Lee joint Josh Brolin starring remake, American remake, but you haven't seen it.
I didn't know you had seen the remake as well. Oh.
Well, on a previous podcast that I've been on years ago, we did a double episode about both things.
Called Greatest Movies of All Time.
No, it was nothing on Netflix. Another one. Those episodes are gone.
Okay.
But also, we're doing a different setup. We're holding our phones
We're holding our
because
phones
we're recording
because
in
this
the
was
voice memo. I'm
it
looking at
was-
the camera.
spontaneous.
And so in my bag, I carry around
Podcast.
I carry like an old school dad cam, like handy cam camcorder.
Is that what we call them? Dad cams?
They're called dad cams.
I feel like
Because-
skaters use them.
I know, but you do this and you're like getting all the things. It's one of those you hold up. It records in HD, so we thought we'd
Give it a twirl.
and so we
Whirl.
might also, we're just on like a little 2 or 3 hour day excursion. We're going to do a couple minutes here. We'll jump to somewhere else, do a couple minutes there.
You might call it a hurricane pub.
We'll call it a hurricane shuffle. The
Hurricane shuffle. We gotta go get
the Idalia
food.
shuffle.
Idalia.
Idalia.
Shuffle. The Idalia Shuffle. That's what we're going to call it. And
But
we're
we don't-
drinking sours right now.
Yeah. I was saying we don't have our normal podcast setup
No.
of our trademarked
mics.
microphone.
No.
We have our phones, so we're recording the voice memo. That's why I keep showing it. And so we get some good audio. Because we're inside Magnanimous Brewing, which we haven't really recorded an episode here since I think the Neon
We
Demon.
haven't actually been here in a while.
Because it's a Monday at 3 before a hurricane hits, it's pretty low key in here.
So it's nice. The music's nice.
The Neon Devil, we were truly
low-key.
like yelling into the microphone
Yeah.
because it was so loud
It's
and crowded.
usually like that, but
And it
it's
was our
not right
pre-video
now.
days. Neon Demon's one of the great movies we talked about.
It's one of the greats. One of the greats.
All right, so I have a sour.
I have a sour. Hold on. Yours is called Comb the Beach. And it's like pineapple, passion fruit. Mine is called Baka the Beat.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It is aged in a 4-year wild turkey bourbon barrel for 10 months with blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries.
Cool.
It's really good.
As you know, if any sour has the word pineapple in it, I
You
instantly
like it.
order it. Yeah,
And it's usually a little too sour for me,
it's top notch.
but this one's good.
I remember once we came here with some coworkers a long time ago, and they weren't sure. Like a couple of them were like non-beer drinkers, and they weren't sure what to order. And I was like, just do one of the sours,
Yeah, because they're delicious.
and they hated it. They hated it.
Well, non-beer drinkers usually want something that tastes like a Bud Light or a Michelob Light, and that's not.
Construction
you're not
worker
gonna
beers.
find that. That's what we call
To
construction
quote
worker.
one of our good friends,
Yeah,
friend of the podcast,
they don't have those here.
Will, friend of the podcast. So Oldboy,
It's a Korean film,
it's a film.
South Korean.
It's part of Park Chan-wook's kind of vengeance trilogy. He has like 3 movies that focus on someone getting vengeance, or what's the difference between vengeance and revenge?
I feel like vengeance is violent.
But revenge could be violent.
I don't think revenge is necessarily violent. I think they just want to feel justified. Where I think vengeance has some kind of violence attached to it. Where
Okay.
revenge is like, I'm going to trick you. You're going to feel as humiliated as I am or whatever. Or I'm going to take your boyfriend.
So is revenge getting even? Vengeance, and I'm not playing a bit here. I'm like truly sussing this out,
Sussing it out.
sussing it out, because it's all up in my craw. I listened to our David Lynch episode, and I said the word "gets in your craw," and you were like, "Gets in your craw."
Is it in your crawl?
Call your brain.
Your crawl
head.
space?
I'm sussing it out though.
Okay.
Revenge is you're just getting even.
Yeah.
Vengeance, you're getting even,
And destroying the other
and
person's
you're
life.
knocking them down a peg.
That's what I think. I have not looked that up.
You're getting them even, but you're also getting back at them and making them even like feel the pain
feel
worse than you have.
I haven't looked that up. That's my understanding of contextually what the words mean.
So that's the working definition for the night before podcast that we're going with.
For
Yeah,
us.
revenge
That's
versus
where we're
vengeance.
going without any,
So this would be
research.
a vengeance film then.
definitely.
Okay.
Vengeance film, for
And
sure.
let's put this out of the way. There's one big kind of plot twist for this movie near the end that I think maybe we'll get into.
A plot twist.
So here's the thing. Let's just say this. We won't talk about it in detail. One, because censors,
Okay.
because the moral police.
Moral. Okay.
But if you know enough, let's just say this is an Oedipus Rexian film. Is that a correct way to say Oedipus Rexian?
Oedipian.
Oedipian?
I don't know. But it is thematically related to the Oedipus Rex theme.
And it's almost a Greek tragedy in itself. So if you know
Without
enough.
being Greek.
No, but I think the
Right.
idea.
It's a tragedy.
that, yeah, but
Yeah.
Greek tragedy kind of is famous for
Yeah, and people model their
setting
stories.
that, like-
Literature is modeled after it, so are movies and scripts.
Yeah. But like the Neon Demon, kind of in. Because I think if you just say it's a tragedy, you go, oh, it's sad, right? It's a sad movie.
Yeah.
It ends sadly. But if you say it's a Greek tragedy, you go, oh, it ends badly.
It ends terribly.
Right?
There's no happy endings.
No,
in
but I
Greek
think that's what's
tragedy.
implied when you say Greek tragedy.
Yeah,
Just a tragedy.
just sad.
You go, oh, that's too bad. But Greek tragedy, you
It's
go,
horrifying.
oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, like how could anyone
I think that's
live through
so.
that?
That's when I say Greek. I know there's nothing Greek about it except maybe the Oedipus Rex connection.
Yeah,
But I was going to say Neon Demon, which you mentioned a minute ago, also ends in a Greek tragedy way. Right?
yeah, for sure.
So I'm saying we'll jump ahead to that. So we won't say much beyond
So
that.
you might say,
It's up to you to watch it to fill in the details.
yeah, for sure.
But it's basically this like self-obsessed, sort of reckless,
Guy.
no cares to the wind guy gets abducted.
Random. Well, first he
Seemingly
randomly
and is held captive for 15 years
in a room.
with a television set and food and a bed, and then he's just set free 15 years later.
Yeah, but this gas is pumped into his room every night to put him to sleep. But that can make
Not
you
every
crazy
night.
after a while.
Whenever they need to do something to him.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just like a night to keep his like routines because
No.
there's no like daylight or.
No, I don't think that's it.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying the point is in prison for 15 years and
in a
let
room.
go, and then it's a case of him just like,
Well, was he let go? Yeah, he was
He
let
was
go.
freed, yeah.
Yeah.
and then let go with the idea of, okay, now he's going to search out like who captured him, why was he captured, and he's going to find answers.
Yeah. He's going to figure out who did this to him and why.
And why?
Obviously. For obvious reasons.
So,
And that's really all he cares about when he gets out is finding out who captured him and why he was captured.
so since this is a Park Chan-wook film, earlier in his career, 20 years later, he does Decision to Leave, which we talked about. Again, our most downloaded episode we've ever done. A movie we both loved, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's easy to say he's a really good director. He's still, early on, 20 years
Still a
ago,
really
he
good-
was still 20 years ago, he was great. He's gotten better.
Well, he's definitely gotten better, but that film was really good. There was immatureness to it, I guess.
You could say a little amateurish.
Kung fu fighting type deal.
There was, but I think
But I like that. I know that's like a famous fighting
that's
scene
the
and all
hammer
that.
scene where he because it's sort of one
I don't
take.
feel like that would be in his movies nowadays, so they're not.
Yeah.
It's not. That stuff is
but
not.
I think at the time, if you think about it, this
That was
is
what was
early
popular.
2000s, so you're kind of the post, Quentin Tarantino's kind of made his mark.
And who is that famous Asian fighter?
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. That's the
But for-
era of Jackie Chan.
But for a
and all
while,
that.
some of the kung fu stuff kind of had a resurgence. Excuse me. Around this time, Quentin Tarantino does Kill Bill movies. But that fight scene in the subway where the main character guy has a hammer
Yeah.
and he just takes out an
Takes on
entire
40 people.
with one hammer.
I don't know how realistic it is, but it was good.
But I think it's the idea of you're being fueled by vengeance, right? That's the theme of the movie.
Yeah, I have to say, for violent movies, I don't like this one, except for the 2 or 3 parts that are unbearable to watch.
the removing teeth with a hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fighting and violence, other than the unbearable moments, were more enjoyable. They weren't you didn't feel they were look away violent, or this goes on too long, or this is too loud, or something like that. It was more
And it's not
more interesting, artistic.
and again, I'm not going to bash John Wick films because we've only seen one of them and we kind of enjoyed that John Wick film. Remember, we were in Stewart, Florida, and just some cafe was
place.
hey, we're going to show John Wick 2 on the back patio.
Yeah.
And we watched it.
Yeah, that was fun.
It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. I can see why there's 4 of them. But those
The
are
dog.
yeah, but those are highly choreographed fight, and those are vengeance films. I think those films, the whole idea is
Someone held my
again, it's
dog.
a superficial. I don't know. It's this element of we get it oh, he's on vengeance because someone killed his dog or whatever it is, right? I
Yeah.
don't know. I could be wrong about John Wick.
I don't know.
But I'm saying those were enjoyable. I'm not knocking it, but the choreographed violence in this didn't seem like the over-the-top John Wick style thing. Now,
Right,
granted,
yeah.
this is years before John Wick, so it's not fair to compare.
Yeah.
But there's a sense of choreographed realness in it. But then it's not. They're not constantly hitting you with it. It's here's a 10-minute scene
Here it is.
of
It's
him
not
fighting in a park.
It's not 75% of the movie.
Yeah, here's one chunk which we
That's what
get
I
it,
don't like.
which is funny, and then one of it, which is the cool scene, he kills all these, he beats up all these people in this little kind of underground parking garage area thing, and then gets all those people. And you watch the scene, and it's kind of one long take, which is nice. But it's not too flashy.
Yeah,
It's very controlled. That's like Park Chan-wook's thing. It's very controlled. The camera pans.
That's what I'm saying. It
And then
almost
it goes
seems,
this way.
It seems artistic.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it happens, and then the elevator opens, and there's a whole nother pack of guys.
Yeah, and then he just walks
you're
out
like-
of the elevator and everybody
You're like,
falls.
oh, we got to watch this again, another fight
Which
scene?
that was kind of comical.
And then it's a little funny. And then it's, it cuts, and then the elevator opens when he's when he's gone up the floors, and they just all fall down, knocked out. Like, okay, you're not going to make you watch it again. You get that he can do it.
Right.
You don't need to see it again.
We don't need to see it in the elevator.
Yeah, that's what
Which
I
I
like.
like that. That's what I think the violent, like fighting scenes, when that goes on too long in other movies, I lose interest. But this one, it didn't lose my interest. And like I said, there were a couple like can't even watch scenes, but you knew those were going to be can't even watch scenes, and you could prep yourself for that.
The teeth stuff.
And there's another one,
The tongue,
the tongue, yeah.
which is kind of back to the Oedipus Rex thing.
Yes, yeah.
But with tongue instead of eyes.
Yeah.
But I think Neon Demon ends with eyes being gouged, if I remember correctly.
I feel like I don't remember that movie as well. I know I really liked it, and I remember the ending, but I don't
know it
remember
did involve like
details
eating
about it.
eyeballs. Remember, it's like the supermodels and
Yeah,
wanted the
I remember
essence.
the supermodels and all that stuff, but I don't remember the exact details of what happened. I'd have to watch it again. Which that would be another good watch again.
Another
movie.
comical part, which I liked. Again, it's not really a comedy at all, or even a dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But early on, when he's set free, he meets a guy. And again, I saw some of the more. I don't know. I won't say it, but
You won't say it?
some folks were like, "Oh, how can I even like this character if he doesn't care about a person who's wanting to commit suicide and he just shrugs them off?"
Oh.
Right? But I think that's part of the dark comedy, the satire of it, like the elevator scene. He's been in prison for 15 years. When he's released, he encounters a person who wants to commit suicide, jump off a building,
Right.
right? And he sort of rescues him at first. Though it parallels also how the movie ends, kind of being hanged off the edge of a building. But then he sits and tells the person who wanted to commit suicide his story. Like, let me tell you about the last 15 years of my life.
Right.
Right.
This should make you appreciate your life a little
Right.
bit more. But it
And
doesn't.
then the person's like, do you want to hear my story now?
And
he
he's like,
just
no.
walks away.
Yeah.
And then when he gets off the top floor of the building, our main character, and walks away, you see the other person fall to their death. Like they could jumped.
Right.
And it's played for a laugh. It's meant to be like dark. And I like that. Like, because it kind of, it's not that our character, and again, the main character guy, Dae-soo.
Dae-soo. That's how I read it. Dae-soo.
He should be, I think he would be in that mental state of like, if you want to jump and kill yourself, jump and kill yourself. Like,
Yeah, like
what I've endured for the past 15 years, I don't have time to
deal with somebody else's issues.
Right?
Yeah. Like I get out of this, and then the first thing I
took
do is encounter this guy who wants to tell me all about his problems. Like,
yeah.
No.
And so that's how I look at it. Because I've seen some reviews, again, I don't want to get at people that are younger, but it tends to be a younger take on it.
Okay.
Like, oh, this person, they don't, but to me, I think it communicates more of like, this shows you the fragile mental state of this person who's been released after 15 years of being in prison. His mindset is on one thing, like, I'm going to get answers. And that's what I like about the movie. The overall theme is all the main characters you meet, when vengeance fuels your very existence, what happens to you and your purpose in life when that vengeance has been fulfilled? Mm-hmm. Can you go on?
Right.
And the movie also tackles that question.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the only thing that's keeping you joy, like, sometimes
Is that the only thing
people are
that's giving you
fueled by
joy?
hate or vengeance or
And
whatever.
if they don't have that, they have nothing.
And once you get that satisfied, and one, you also find that it's unfulfilling.
And you've never, because you've been so focused on that, you've never developed any
Yeah.
enjoyments or happiness or hobbies or life
Yeah.
other than that.
So that was the thing I really liked about it.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Really good experience as well.
I will say my other thought, and then I think maybe we'll move on unless you have some thoughts.
Yeah, no, we'll move on.
Yeah, maybe we'll move on to say this point, unless you have another
we're
point.
We're gonna
I'm
hop.
hungry, yeah. And you've got like half a sour left. I'm out.
But you can have some of mine. I mean, I'll share. I'm
You
a
can.
share.
Okay.
Okay.
So maybe we'll pick up in another location and talk something else.
Yeah, definitely.
Good points.
Cheers.
So now we're at King State,
You say we filmed here before.
and we're down to one phone instead of two.
Yeah, because our batteries.
Our camcorder died. We didn't have the backup battery with us.
Yeah.
So
Music is louder.
yeah. So when you talk, lean into the phone a bit since we got a
Music is
stare.
louder.
You don't have to go all the way in, but we'll like.
Exaggerating it.
I know, but you're not the one who has to do the audio mix. Bring those levels down.
Okay. Okay, I get it. I got it.
Got it. But I got to remember to turn it to you.
Okay.
You know what I was thinking? We're at King State. The vibe of this place is
What?
we've been here before. We recorded the infamous Mank episode here.
I think we recorded another one here as well.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I don't think so. I'd remember it if we did.
Okay.
But they're really busy behind us.
What?
I said they're really busy behind us.
You're cleaning up. Getting
All
ready for dinner.
the day prep. Which reminded me of us when we had our restaurant.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So much work.
So when you talk, just lean forward. I'll point at you, but you got to lean forward a little bit. Not all the way in. It's a slightly.
I am leaning forward.
All right. We'll check the tape.
Okay.
No. You know what it also reminds me of? It's funny, though, because we're watched a South Korean film. We're going to do one or two more thoughts about Oldboy. It reminds me of what's going on behind us and the vibe and the decor and the lighting in here.
Bears.
No.
No.
Bears nothing to do with South Korea.
What?
The YouTube videos I watch,
Oh. Yeah. they're just doing things in the background.
it's like a playlist,
Yeah.
but it's folks in South Korea just hanging out at like a coffee shop or an apartment or
One
the
of them
park.
was like a bakery.
They were making stuff in a
Yeah.
bakery. So the music and everything here kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, I agree. It's like background, cool vibe
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, we like King State. It's a nice vibe. Plants everywhere. Good
A lot,
food.
lot of plants. Oh,
New menu. New menu. Or new for us.
the food was
We
too
haven't
much.
been here in a while, but it was really good because we were hungry.
It was good food, but a bit much because we were gluttonous.
I mean, you call it what you want.
I ate the whole burger and all the fries.
You are gluttonous.
All right, so before we left Magnanimous, you were like, I have a really important point I want to make about Oldboy. So what was that?
Well,
You're making it up. You don't have one.
I have a point.
Okay, let's hear it.
As much as I love the movie,
Uh-oh.
it was slightly too predictable. Slightly too predictable.
So what would you like it to do then? I mean, I think... Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the girl, meeting the girl and whatnot, that seemed too easy. It was too easy. there could have been a little more intrigue and like trickery in that aspect of it, but it was still good. You knew that was going to be the case in the end. I won't, say it, but you knew it. But it was still intriguing and horrifying all in one.
But since it was predictable, I think the manner in which it did it revealed it all. That it was so sort of graphic and intense. There was no subtlety.
No.
That, though, yeah, it might have played into your expectation, but it, like the teeth removing scenes, right?
Yeah.
It's no holds bar. So it's like, okay, I get it, but let's truly confront the reality of this situation to you.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
How
okay, we all get it.
unlivable it could be.
Yeah. But let's show you multiple times in the movie, one visually and one just with audio, like what this really means, what this really was.
Yeah.
There's no like glossing over it.
No glossing over it at all. And how, horrifying that would be to someone. For sure. I mean, I still liked it. I was a little disappointed that like so early on in the movie, like I called that exactly,
I know, but if it's anything with like Oedipus Rex reference, it has to be something.
Yeah, of course. No, I knew that, but I just thought it was like too there and easy. That's all.
Yeah. But to me, it's like, do I watch a Park Chan-wook film for like the surprising story or the visualness of it all?
Well, with Decision to Leave and
Handmaiden,
it was kind of both.
yeah. And again,
This
like,
one, it was more the visual, just the creative storyline, but it was still just like the revenge story.
one of the things I liked was, one, it had a lot of elements that you saw 20 years later in Decision to Leave. They used a lot of the cell phone stuff
Yeah.
where he's like texting constantly, but you see like from the perspective of the phone and seeing the phone stuff.
Yeah.
There was interesting tech stuff in the early 2000s, the chat rooms,
Oh, yeah.
like the instant messenger chat stuff.
That was interesting.
Yep, there you go. That was the chat stuff. I just want to pick up all the stuff. The chat room stuff I thought was super interesting. The use of time and clocks, right? There was always a theme of clocks and looking, that was really cool, and stuff that you saw that he's still
In
doing.
Decision to Leave.
But he's kind of added the modern element to it. But
Yeah.
you see, even back then, he was intrigued by
Time.
technology
Yeah.
and,
How that affects your
yeah, right?
life and decisions.
And then the very interesting, what was it, like those Escher paintings that were famous in the 90s? Like everybody had like an
Yeah.
Escher t-shirt
Yes.
of like the staircases bending into each other.
Yeah.
But he used that concept, what's it, MS Escher?
M.S. Escher? I don't know.
I don't know the
I have to
initials.
look it up, but I know Escher. I know what you're talking about.
But when they did the when he was reflecting on the past, right? And he was watching his memories, and it was cutting between present day and the past, but it was all happening in one. I thought it was it just showed his skill at
Way back then to have that kind of like
editing and composition.
vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is really like a popular type of vision now.
No, but I
I
think
think it's more-
But I think even now that would be tough to do.
Yeah. But you see it more now.
I know, but not really. Not in that way.
No.
Like, what do you see in it?
You didn't see that back then, ever.
I know, but I don't think you still see it now, is what I'm saying.
Cutting back and forth to different memories and what?
The scene where it shows him, he's back at the school.
Yeah.
He's walking along a staircase, and then he looks to his left, and to the left is his past self going up that staircase on the left.
Right.
And then it cuts to the right,
To his
and
present.
he looks to the right, and it's to his present.
Yeah.
And he's walking along that way.
You're right. That's really like,
And it was just all folding into itself. I just thought it was really good in that regard.
that was really good.
Yeah.
I liked it. But you do see some stuff like that.
A little bit, but I don't think
I can't
it's
think
still
of a
done that well.
specific
That's, I
example.
mean, I don't think it sticks out in that way. That's all I'm saying.
I get it. I get it. I do. No, I liked it a lot. I can't think of any more points.
I'm waiting.
I know.
Want you to drop your thoughts. I thought it was really interesting too, the more shaky hand cam stuff at the beginning of the movie when he's drunk in the police station.
Yeah.
Where Park Chan-wook stuff is always more steady and planned, and you know what I mean?
At first, I thought in the police station in the beginning that he was like a schizophrenic, crazy person. I mean, how he was acting is not like even normal for like just a drunk person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know where it was going with that at first, that he was just like a drunk guy. But in the end, like, and then you thought, and then it led you to believe that he had some past or some like different life. But then you realize it was just something dumb from high school.
Well, yeah, it's not something dumb, but yeah.
I mean, something,
Not something worth being locked up for 15
not
years.
something worth that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like something just where it makes you think like the things you say or the things you do, how it affects the people around you. That's kind of the theme, I guess. Like,
No matter a pebble or a stone, it all sinks the same.
right. It's just certain people, depending on how that person is and what you do to that person or say to that person.
You gotta lean forward.
Okay, I am leaning forward. That you don't know how that affects how they feel or the people they're around or their life moving forward.
That's right. It's the repeating thing where you kept saying, like, no matter a pebble or a stone, they all sink the same.
Right. So that was that was a really good theme, I thought. I mean, it's very true. People don't understand how their actions affect other people often.
Or not even thinking about something that you saw or did or said that impacted somebody so heavily.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, you can just think you're kind of not very good friends with someone and you just don't have time for that friendship anymore or whatever, but you were never invested in it, but they were fully invested in it, or, you know, just an interaction that you think was nothing could be something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So question, do you have any interest in seeing the Spike Lee version of this film?
Yeah, I thought we were going to see it soon.
Well, probably will, but
Yeah. But it's not going to go in this podcast.
no.
We were thinking about doing the double feature and then putting it together in the podcast.
Can you imagine it takes the same route? Like, as an American film, could it be as unclenching?
I
and
can't imagine
unrelenting.
them doing the tongue scene in American films.
Or how about the father-daughter stuff
Yeah, I can imagine that.
with Josh Brolin?
And Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I can imagine that.
I can't remember. I can't remember what I think it's something different, but I can't remember what the twist is.
I can imagine that happening because it's not like it's an underage girl or something.
I just remember when I saw it that it was good, but also, like many American remakes, maybe not necessary, even if it's Spike Lee.
Do that.
Yeah. And also so close to one another. Like,
2003.
Oldboy came out in 2013, and I think this one came out in 2008, like 5 years later.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like not necessary.
Yeah.
Even if
I
Spike Lee
can't imagine Josh Brolin looking as insane as
right?
the actor that did.
Well, that was the great thing. You're
whoever
right.
the actor was.
He looked completely unrecognizable, like his 15-year later self.
Yeah. I can't imagine that being the same effect on Josh Brolin. But
Right?
maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, so. But I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
But I'd like to see it.
no, we'll see. All I remember is I like the original much, much more.
Maybe Julian would like it.
Maybe.
It's violent.
Anybody you got Hammer beating people with a hammer. Maybe we'll watch it during a hurricane weekend.
I thought it was shocking. I do have a point.
Oh, here's a point. Here we
I thought
go.
it was shocking how he left her in the room that he was trapped in for 15 years.
But he was doing that for
He
like
was
her
protecting
safety,
her.
right?
I get that. But at the same time, that would be kind of a traumatic place to go back to.
How about like the main bad, the quote bad guy, his cool closet? Did you see that?
Yeah,
Where his closet, his closet, it's like a cube in the middle of the room, and then it opens up.
So I've seen that.
That's pretty rad.
In like tiny homes.
Yeah.
Or smaller
Yeah.
spaces.
Not in
But
huge
but
penthouses.
to have that in 2003 be, no, that's just like, well, we know that like Asian technology and home
We know this.
architecture. Yeah, no, we know because we watch shows that
I know.
show how
Yeah.
people build their homes and design the inside of their homes are way more like sensible, like space-wise, because they don't have as much space.
Yeah.
Even though that was a huge penthouse, but it's still like an Asian type not architecture, design,
Yeah.
interior design thing that we didn't really use back in 2003.
Yeah.
And now we're making use of it for people that build like small spaces.
Yeah.
But
No, it's a neat film. I think the performance at the end when there's like the confrontation, when he's like barking like a dog and all that stuff was so good though.
it's weird.
But it's the desperation. I'll do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
Right? I don't know. That was good. So how would you put this in your of the I don't count the Stoker film because it's American made. But out of the three we talked about,
Nicole Kidman one.
yeah, the one we talked about, Decision to Leave, Handmaiden, Oldboy. Where do you rank them? 1, 2, and 3.
Gosh. I would still go like Handmaiden, Decision to Leave. Oldboy.
Wait, so Handmaiden's number 1.
I think Handmaiden's number one.
Number 1. Number 2 is Decision to
For me.
Leave. Number 3 is
Oldboy.
Oldboy's definitely number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it.
I think Decision to Leave might be number 1.
I really loved Handmaiden.
I did too.
And I liked Decision to Leave a lot too, but if I had to
You know
put
what, maybe
one
I-
in front of the other, I think I would put Handmaiden.
You know what? I like Decision to Leave more than the others. Is though I appreciate like hyperbole in cinema and over the topness more than probably anybody. But I love that Decision to Leave is like grounded in reality.
It definitely was that.
Where even Handmaid, which is really, really good, has kind of an over the topness to it all.
It has a bit of the topness, but you know what I like, and I realize I like this when I read,
The overt
Literature.
sexual stuff.
you know.
You're leaning so far away from the mic now.
Oh, sorry.
Probably because I made you uncomfortable with that comment.
Yeah, you did. Because that's not why.
Okay, why?
I did appreciate the sexual stuff.
Oh, it's
but-
intense.
But when I read books and stuff, I really love cultural literature.
Yeah.
And I think I really liked that about Handmaiden as well. Like
No, I agree, yeah.
cultural literature.
But it also had that difference between
And I
it had Japanese versus Korean.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
thought
yeah.
that made it really intriguing and more interesting than other films. And I didn't feel that in Oldboy. Like, even though it was set in another country, I didn't feel like you got that.
Old Boy felt a little bit like a take on like an American violent film.
in New York or something.
Yeah, like, oh, I wanna
It could have
make-
been in New York. It didn't matter.
It's almost like I want to make a Quentin Tarantino film.
Yeah.
It had a little bit of that vibe.
And Decision to Leave was a beautiful film and beautifully shot, but I didn't feel that like cultural kind of thing in that film either as much.
But it's like Old Boy is like the image of just like a hammer.
Yeah,
Says it all.
it's like when you see the poster, you think of what's Jack Nicholson?
Oh, The Shining.
Yeah, The Shining. That's kind of what you think of, right? With the shaggy hair,
Yeah.
everything. So that's kind of the vibe of that.
Okay.
Not of the same movie, but
No, I know what you mean.
you know what I mean. You're like, okay, this is going to be violent. This is going to be whatever,
All right.
spooky or weird.
Well, I'm glad you liked Old Boy. I didn't know if it'd be too over the top or too
Yeah, it
violent.
wasn't too over the top.
There are, like, the John Wick films are too violent.
Well, they're just like too over the top. Like
But that wasn't.
a kill count of like 100 plus people.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. It's just constant killing.
Well, this was truly about a person who just kind of just gone crazy.
Yeah, wouldn't you? I mean, he had a lot to grapple with.
Yeah, it's true.
He had a lot to grapple with.
Okay. We'll probably have to move on. We won't do any more recording since all our batteries are dying, but we talked Oldboy unexpectedly.
My battery has to be dying.
We're okay.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
well,
fine.
cheers.
Cheers. You're always done with your beer before me now. You used to be opposite.
I know. All right, bye.
Bye.